closer. I might need 78 to get a stop shot. And this cloth, actually, it's slower than it appears. It looks as though it's quite a nice, smooth cloth, but it is actually not the fastest cloth in the world. Video's got it here. It's a bit better. You see, what you're doing is you're building the player up to familiarity with what speed is required to stop that ball. And on a television table, that shot I just played previously, which was more or less 78%, the speed, you would screw back past the pink. That's how thin the cloths are. And with the table heaters, the brand new balls. I mean, these balls aren't brand new.
I'm going to do it. No. Creep out.
Hand on the cushion.
You get the chalk anyway.
You get both.
Pressure.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Anyway, we digress slightly.
Just a little bit.
Where were we? Long plotting. Well, it's not 78 miles an hour, it's about 20 miles an hour maximum that you can hit a cue ball. So amazingly slow, isn't it? But that's the maximum speed. Even the pool players who are tremendously accomplished at break-offs, I think 26 miles an hour is the most possible. Yeah, you'd think it's much faster, wouldn't you? You'd think it's like cricket, but it's nowhere near. Nowhere near. Most people would say 60 or 70 miles an hour.
This is not dissimilar to what I read about in golf once, that you hit the ball at the same pace.
Yeah.
It's a different club will take you to a different distance, but it's the same pace each time. You don't have to stand back and put your old shoulders.
Well, in a similar way, slightly longer backswing
Yes.
would give you an extra pace. So long backswing is like an extra club in golf in a way. So you can modulate your power by the length of your backswing. That's what a lot of players tend to do and get the most sense of control from. But anyway, the point here is that when you're taking your students through this exercise, you need to really be very sensitive to whether they are trying to stop the ball or not. Because if they're trying to stop the ball, that's the big trap to fall into, because that's when you start snatching. Because the back of your brain knows what height and power you need to hit this ball. And it all comes from the height on the ball, stopping the cue ball on that shot. It all comes from the height. Not from the power, not from strength, not from speed, but the height on the ball that you're playing. That's where you get the stop shot from. And the player who is trying to stop it and is going too high on the ball, which is the tendency, most players are probably aiming maybe H2 or H3 on that. And you'll get some players who say, no, with H4, then I'll get a perfect stop shot. Physically impossible. Even H3 is physically impossible to get a stop shot over that distance, no matter how hard you play it. But they will say to you, no, look, I'm addressing even H4 and a half, and I've got a stop shot, look. Well, what did I do there?
Certainly didn't hit it at H4.
Yeah, exactly. I was aiming H4 and I'm half a tip below centre, but even unbeknownst to myself, because I finished here as well, but it was a dip, and that was an unconscious compensation for an error in the height that you're aiming the cue ball. Very, very important. So when you're watching your students go through that, just notice if you think they're trying to shoulder the ball in. That's a good sign that they're taking their focus off the height and the power. You need to stand here, decide your height and your power, and just based on your experience at the table, execute that as per your intention. It's like giving an order at a restaurant. You expect it to come back as you've ordered it, and you make your order here, go down and receive the meal. So, any questions on that? Another point, just to wrap up from the professional perspective, if you were to watch top players players, if Ronnie came here, John Higgins, all these, Mark Selby, all these fantastic cueists, and you were to watch them pop these balls and stop them for the black. The ball doesn't even make a sound in the pocket, even on these tables where you need more speed than you normally would. They're striking so cleanly at the lowest part of the ball to reduce the overall speed that they need, which reduces body movement, backswing, all that type of accuracy variable. Stroking these balls in, absolutely stroking them. You'd be amazed if you were to float into their body and play a few of these shots, you'd never hammer a long ball in again, because you would realise how difficult it is, even for them. I mean, the reason they float these balls in is that they are not good enough snooker players to hammer that ball in with H2 or H3 on the cue ball with unnecessary speed. They're not good enough. That's why they have to play them soft, to give themselves the best chance possible of achieving the pot. Of course, the other final benefit is that if you've played softer, does it make it easier for the ball to slip into the pocket? Yeah, it does, if you're not completely accurate. Yeah, you've got bigger margin of error if you're slower, and more chance of accuracy if you're slower as well, because everything is more compact, more stable, more still, easier to keep straight and keep control of your cueing up. But that's another way of just cheating and giving yourself an extra 5-10% chance of potting it. Reduce your height, reduce your speed. That's it, very, very simple. That's it. Absolutely. And you'll often get, even professionals I've worked with, where they say, oh, my long game's fallen apart. And, okay, well, play one for me, please. And they get down and they're, surprise, surprise, they've over time slipped out of the good habit of being low on the cue ball, and they're halfway between the bottom and the centre of the cue ball. Yeah, and they're hammering the balls in. First thing, go lower, go softer. And the important thing is that some players really don't like going right down low on the cue ball. Some players will actually have a preference of being, say, a tip above the bottom of the cue ball. That's okay, as long as they're potting the ball, that's okay. But help instill in them the skill of stopping the ball with H1 right at the bottom of the ball. Get them to learn that